Yesterday night, it occurred to me that having cancer is like being trained to resist torture. But I had some time to think about it last night while I was trying to sleep, and that's not really accurate. Cancer is not simply like being tortured, it is torture. It's a form of physical, mental, and emotional torture. And, normally I wait until I'm up and the breathing is better and I can be in the living room and I've had breakfast and lighting is better and I'm feeling better and blah blah blah, and it's just like I I don't care. Like, why not film this in bed when I woke up and I'm coughing and I have trouble breathing and it sucks and I look like hell? Like, it's just part of the process. Not that I was trying to hide it or anything before, like I've always tried to be as as open and honest as I can with everything. But yeah, this morning I'm just like, I don't have the strength to go through that. Like, I still have to do it. I still have to, you know, get up and brush my teeth and take a bunch of pills and the green juice and my breakfast and everything. And I know I will, for at least a few hours, feel somewhat better. And usually that's the period where I make the videos. And this morning I'm just like, I don't fucking care. Because that's the thing about torture, it's never ending. And it's like, you can give up, but it's not going to change anything. You're still going to continue getting tortured. So why not, try to hold on? Why not try to keep fighting? Why not try to, believe that someday things will go back to normal because it's better than the alternative? Because giving up, well, you lose all hope. Plus, it changes absolutely nothing. You're still going to continue getting tortured. And, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about torture in the sense of, intense physical torture, such as, being burned by a scorching hot red iron, like, or being electrocuted or, nearly drowned or stuff like that. Like, that is extreme. Cancer is not like that. Although, to be fair, there are very intense moments physically, such as, when you have migraines that are so intense that you can't even form a logical thought. So intense that it makes you throw up multiple times per day. Or, leg pain that's so intense that it makes you cry. So it's like there's definitely intense physical periods. But it's not like 24/7. Well, I mean, sometimes it is, but, not for like, months and months on end. At least not for most people. Not in my case. But it's just like that never ending cycle of, like, it's been almost 18 months at this point since I was diagnosed. It's like there have been periods that have been better. There were a few months where I was actually feeling really good. But it's kind of like torture, It's like when you're being tortured, when you're being imprisoned and tortured on a regular basis, their point is to break you, to break your mind so you will reveal whatever they want you to reveal. And sometimes that means giving you a break, giving you a false sense of hope, only to come back and start torturing you again. So it's like it's always there in some shape or form. So it's like, sometimes it's, oh, well, I'm not hungry, so I have to force myself to eat. I have literally zero appetite, so every single mouthful, it's like I feel like crying. I've never actually cried at the thought of having to eat or forcing myself to eat, but I've wanted to. And it's just like, throwing up or throwing up blood sometimes, or coughing up, or coughing like thousands of times per day, and, having breathing issues where it's like every breath is a struggle, you know, pain and headaches. And I mean, I've talked about the symptoms throughout this, so we don't need to go over every single detail, but it's just like, it's always one thing after the other. And it's like, deep down, that's the hardest part. Like, even in those moments that are good, when you are feeling better, you're like, this is not over. Like, I'm still in prison. I'm still not out. It's only a matter of time before it comes back and it sucks again. And sometimes that's like almost worse because, like, when you're suffering, when you're in the moment, when it sucks, sometimes you just get to the point where you're like, I don't care. I don't have the energy to care anymore. And even though it sucks and you're suffering, you're like, at least it can't get any worse, you know? But in those moments where it does get better, well, you do know, yeah, it is like, it can get worse, and odds are it probably will. And the worst part is like not knowing what's gonna happen. And I'm assuming this applies to most people who have an advanced form of cancer in some way or another. But in certain situations, it's worse because you don't have that knowledge of, oh, there's a lot of people who have been through this before. Yes, some people have died, but a lot of people have survived. So you know that survival is a possibility. Whereas in certain cases, in my case, you've literally been told no one has ever survived stage 4 of this type of cancer. So they're basically telling you it's only a matter of time before you die. And you have to, on top of all this physical and emotional and mental torture, have to somehow muster up the willpower, the belief in yourself that somehow I am going to survive. And you have to continue believing that. And it's like, okay, it already wasn't hard enough. I need to like do that on top of that. Plus, let's not forget, unlike actual torture where you're being imprisoned, you have to deal with everyday crap such as, am I going to run out of money? Am I going to be homeless? Am I going to have to move in with my dad? Am I going to have to go back to work even though I'm not in a physical, state where I can work, where I should be working? And it's just like, there's that plus whatever's going on in your life. In my case, the pressure of immigration and everything, and trying and wanting to be with my wife. And just, simple things like, oh, I need to go to the store to buy groceries, but my leg hurts, or it's hard to breathe, or I'm coughing a lot, or it's cold outside and I don't know how my body's going to react, or I have a cold, or, there's always something. So it's like, it's gotten to the point where literally the cancer has pretty much never been my number one issue. It's always like, well, yeah, it's there. I need to like do my best to handle it, but there's other far more pressing issues that I need to deal with. So it's like, it kind of becomes like, oh, well, cancer is not that important. It's just there in the background, which in a way I feel like is not a good thing because it's like, okay, in this situation where your life literally hangs in the balance, you need to focus all your energy on that and on healing. But you still got to deal with all this other shit. And it's like, okay, yeah, cancer, it's like, it's there. I need to deal with it. But it's like, it's not something I can be like, okay, I'm just going to focus on it until it's done. And then in a couple days or a couple weeks, it's going to be over. And then I can move on to the next thing. It's like, nah, it's probably going to take years. So it's like, okay, I need to kind of put that aside and focus on, other normal everyday stuff. And it's a weird thing. And it feels like it doesn't feel right, It's like, why am I worrying about money when I fucking have cancer and I'm trying not to die? And the answer is because I don't have a fucking choice. That's just the way life is. And it's like all that, take all those things that I just discussed and like put them together. And it's like, it just forms this, I don't know, this thing, this state of existence that's just never ending torture in some form or other. And, it occurred to me yesterday I am the toughest person that I know. And for some reason, that made me really sad. And I started crying. And I don't know, I hadn't really processed it, but I'm just like, I don't want to be tough. I don't want to be brave. I don't want to be whatever people think of me or call me or say. I'm just like, I just want this to be fucking over. And I want to be normal again. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can control. So it's just like, you gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, okay, being tough is good in this situation, but it's just so mentally exhausting after a while. You're just like, I want to give up, but I can't. Yeah, I feel like this entire video is me just complaining, but sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to vent. Sometimes you need to, process things to let them go. So, yeah, I guess that's what I did. Doesn't really make me feel better. But, the whole point of this channel has always been to share the journey, to share the experience, and that's what I'm currently going through. So, hope you enjoyed that. More than me, probably. Anyway, that was my update. Talk to you at some point in the future. Blah, 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 blah.